guys. How are y'all? All right, Hunter, I think I've already emailed you the packet. Avery, let me email it to you real quick that we're going to be working in. Hang on just a second. I'll go ahead and send it to Alexis too in case she's not going to be here. Where do I need to go? Okay, let me get that going. Let me get the projector. Out the door, PE is pretty rowdy today. Let's get that going. All right. All right, so we have been talking about polynomials. We have talked about how a polynomial is a mathematic expression. We said that we can have numbers in a polynomial. We can have variables, which are letters that represent an unknown amount in a variable. And with our variables, we can also have exponents with those variables. And so today we're going to be reviewing everything that we've dealt with our polynomials. Excuse me. We're going to be reviewing everything. I've got a packet that we will be doing as our final polynomial assignment. So I'll go ahead and give y'all those. And then let me pull it up on the iPad. I got to take my allergy medicine today. Let's see. I thought I had sent that to myself. All righty, so I'll get ready and pull up our homework first. Here comes Alexis. I'm going to grab a cough drop real quick. And then get my lights out. Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and take a look at our homework that we have. Let me share my screen. I guess it helps if I get, excuse me, my iPad connected. Today is Thursday. There we go. Okay, so let's see. All right, so we had for homework, our first part was on page 303. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up to page 303. Let's go ahead and check these. Okay, so remember I said that the first thing you would do is set up your FOIL letters. And then when you multiply, F means first. So, oh, my little stylus end is off. Hang on a second. See if this will work. So we know that's going to be x squared. So x times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. 1 times x is x. And 1 times 4 is 4. Our middle terms are the ones that we can combine. So 4x and x is 5x. So the first one is x squared plus 5x plus 4. As I go through these, any of them, if you missed anything and you have a question about something, be sure to let me know. Let's look at the one next to it. I'm going to start out with FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times -3 is -3x. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times -3 is going to be -6. Notice on this one, when you combine -3 and 2, I take the sign of the larger, which is negative, and find the difference. So that's just going to be -x. So when I write my answer, I have x squared minus x minus 6. The next one down, it's going to be very similar to that one, but notice that on this one, my 3 has the positive sign in it in front of it. The last one had the negative sign. So this one is going to be x squared plus x minus 6. So the main thing between those last two, excuse me, first terms and last terms are the same, but my middle terms, when I combined, now I have a positive x. Okay, on this one, when I multiply first times first, notice now I have a coefficient that is with my x first. So 2 times x is 2x squared. 2 times -2 is -4x 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times -2 is -6. When I combine -4 and +3, it gives me a -x. So 2x squared minus x minus 6. So you can see that basically we're dealing with the same variations of numbers. We're dealing with 2s and 3s, and sometimes they're positive and sometimes they're negative. And we're adding coefficients to our variables, kind of looking at how they look when we change it up a little bit. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times -2 is going to be -4x. -1 times x will be -x, and then -1 times -2 is a +2. Now notice when I combine my middle ones here, -4x and -x will be -5x. Oh, and I forgot my square there. So 2x squared minus 5x plus 2 is my answer on that one. 2x times 3x is going to be 6x squared. 2x times -2 is -4x. 1 times 3x is +3x, and 1 times -2 is -2. I have a -x here, so I have 6x squared minus x minus 2. And then the last one's 3x times x, 3x squared. 3x times -2 is -6x. 2 times x is +2x. And 2 times -2 is -4. My middle two combined, that's going to be -4x. So 3x squared minus 4x minus 4 is my answer on that one. And then the last one, 2x times 4x is going to give me 8x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. -3 times 4x is going to be -12x. -3 times +1 is -3. Middle terms, I have 2x minus 12x. Take the sign of the larger, find the difference. So I end up with 8x squared minus 10x minus 3. How did everybody do with that? First of all, did you remember to have x squared as your first term? Or did you just do x? Did you make sure you had the exponent of 2? Did you make sure that when you were combining your middle terms that you paid attention to the positives and negatives? And then also you made sure that you had an x term in your middle term. And then your last was just numbers based on whether it's positives or negatives multiplied together. So any questions on page 303? All right, let's take a look at 304. So on 304, we were finishing up this page where the first section, we were adding and subtracting. So let's look at our first with addition. I would have 9x squared minus 3x minus 5. Next to that, I'm going to have 11x squared minus 5x minus 7. Underneath those, I have 10x squared minus 3x minus 4. And then I have 13x squared minus 13x minus 3. Okay, so the thing to make sure when you're adding is to pay attention to those positives and negatives. Okay, we've got to make sure that when I'm combining the two, that if it's a negative number and a positive, take the sign of the larger and find the difference. Then with our subtraction, we talked about how I want to change to adding the opposite. So I said you could basically just change to a plus sign and then change each thing underneath it. So now I have 6x squared plus a negative 3x squared is positive 3x, and negative 2x plus positive 5x is a positive 3x. Oops, I forgot my squared. And then a positive 3 plus 8 is positive 11. Next to that one, changing my signs, we can see that I put a little negative in front of this one. Whoops. Make a negative on that one, changes to a positive. So I can go ahead and mark those out. So now I have 6x squared plus a negative 5x squared. So that will be a positive x squared. Negative 7x plus a negative 2x is negative 9x. Negative 4 plus a positive 3 is negative 1. Underneath this, add the opposite. That'll be a plus, and that'll be a plus. So now the only one that's negative is that one. 2x squared plus negative 8x squared will be negative 6x squared. 4x plus a positive 7x will be 11x. And negative 2 plus 6 will be a positive 4. And then the last one, change to adding the opposites. 8x squared plus a negative 5x squared will be 3x squared. Negative 7x plus a positive 6x will be negative x. And then negative 5 plus a positive 8 will be a positive 3. Any questions on our addition and subtraction? Anything that you missed and you're not sure why? Awesome. And let's go to our final, which was division. We talked about how we would set these up as a fraction. So here I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So 8x squared divided by 2 is 4x squared plus 6x divided by 2 will be 3x, and negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Nope, I forgot the one up top. 15x minus 9 divided by 3 divided by 3. 15x divided by 3 is 5x. Negative 9 divided by 3 is minus 3. Now 12x cubed plus 3x squared minus 9x, all divided by 3x. So now remember, this is where I'm going to divide. 12 divided by 3 is 4. X squared divided by x is going to be x. I'm sorry, I said x squared. X cubed divided by x, I subtract the exponents. So 3 minus 1 is 2. Plus 3 divided by 3 is 1. X squared divided by x is x. Negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3, and x divided by x is 1. So that just is, there's my answer. 4x squared plus x minus 3. And that is the end on division. Any questions about any of these? All right, and then we talked a little bit about the long division with polynomials, but we stopped there. So now what we're going to do is I want to do a little review with our polynomials, because today will be the last day that we are working with our polynomials, and this is our polynomial packet. So you guys, I have emailed y'all these. So if you haven't had a chance to print it out and you need to print it out, that's just fine. So, so this will be on page 1 right now is where we're going to start. We're going to take a look reviewing our types of polynomials, okay? So everybody has this. So notice I put like page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4 on them, but like this one's worksheet 66. I think the next one's worksheet 68. So they may skip numbers as far as the worksheet number goes, but I went ahead and numbered them at the top for you. Also put numbers beside them. All right, so let's talk about, when we talked about a polynomial, there were a few things that we said a polynomial is going to be. We said that it could be a constant. Does anybody remember what a constant is? So think about if you have siblings, and if you have a sibling that is constantly bothering you, that means they bother you all the time, right? I know none of y'all would be the sibling bothering anybody else. But anyway, so constant means all the time. So when I talk about math and I talk about constant in math, I'm talking about numbers that have the same value all the time, okay? So when I think about a constant, that just means it is a number, okay? And the reason it's called a constant is because it never changes. Like with a variable, when I have a variable, it could be a 3 this time. Next time it could be a -3. When I solve for x, my value can change. So that's why we call a constant stays the same all the time. Now remember we said a monomial. A monomial is only one term, and it can be a constant. We said that a monomial can be a variable, and it can also be a constant and a variable together. Okay, but the main thing is that it's just one term. So when I say it's a constant, some examples of that would be like a -3 or a 5. When we talk about a variable, it could be x, it could be x squared. Okay, when it says a constant and a variable, it could be -3x, or it could be 5x squared. All of these are examples of a monomial. It is one term. It can either be a number by itself, a variable by itself, or a variable with an exponent, or it could be a number and a variable stuck together. Now, when those two are stuck together, remember my operation is multiplication. So -3x means that if I knew that x was 2, then I could plug it in, and -3 times 2 would be -6. So what I'm talking about is when I have that variable there, I understand that it means that if I knew what my number was, I would multiply. Okay, so when a variable and a coefficient, the number in front of it, when they're together, I understand that this is multiplication. Okay. All right, our next word was binomial. So we said a binomial is two terms joined together with a plus or minus. So remember when I talk about a binomial, it means I'm going to have two terms, and maybe it could be 2x plus 1, or it could be -4x squared minus x, something like that. They're joined together, so it's a single term joined together with another single term with either a plus or a minus. So this is our binomial. And then a trinomial is going to be just like a binomial, except for it is 3 terms joined with plus or minus. So x squared minus x plus 2, -4x to the 4th plus x squared minus 1. These are all examples of trinomials. Okay. Now, one of the things that we talked about with a polynomial, there were some things that couldn't happen. And we said that polynomials cannot, and one of them was have a negative exponent. So remember we said I could not have next to this x to the -2nd power. Okay, that's what a negative exponent is when I have a, something to a negative exponent. The second thing we said we could not have was what? Do you remember? We could not have a fraction. Okay. So when I look at my examples here, and I'm identifying, is it a polynomial or not? The main thing I'm looking for are terms separated by plus or minus. But I just said I can't have negative exponents and I cannot have fractions. So when I see number 3, I've got a fraction. I know that that is not a polynomial. Look at number 4. Not a polynomial because It has a negative exponent. Okay, so I can immediately pick up the things that are not a polynomial. Let's look at the first one. So my directions say identify whether or not each expression is a polynomial. It is not a polynomial. Why not? So not a polynomial because fraction. This one is not a polynomial because negative exponent. And then it says for each polynomial, identify it as a constant, a monomial, a binomial, or a trinomial. Questions may have more than one answer. Okay, so let's take a look at that. 4x minus 7. This is a polynomial. And it is a binomial because it has two terms. Now look at number 2, the number 12. This is a polynomial. And this is one where it says that it can have more than one answer, and I am going to have more than one answer on this one. What are my two possible answers? What did we say the number 12?
Constant and monomial.
Good. It is a constant, and it's a monomial. Okay. So it's a constant and a monomial. So you can see that we've done numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. You will need to do the rest of these, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're identifying, is it a polynomial or not? If so, what kind? If not, why not? Okay? Go ahead and work on those right now. Polynomial or not? If so, what kind? If not, why not? I'll go ahead and put where my notes, you can see those to refer back to if you need to. All right, any questions on these? So let's look at number 5. Polynomial or not? 5 is, and what kind of polynomial is it? A trinomial, good. What about number 6? 7x minus 2, polynomial or not?
Yes.
It is, and it is a binomial, good. What about number 7? Look at number 7. What's wrong with number 7?
It's got a fraction.
It's got that fraction, so it is not a polynomial. What about 8? Not, because it's got that negative exponent. What about 9? Yep. Trinomial, good. And what about number 10? Yes, and it is not a constant. Constant is a number by itself. Monomial, good. This one's just going to be a monomial. Number 2 was a constant and a monomial, but this last one is just going to be a monomial. Good job. All right, let's go ahead and turn to page 2. You can see at the top, page 2 is adding polynomials in section 1, and section 2 of the page is subtraction. Okay, so I want to do just a few of these as practice, and then what we'll do is, I think, let's do 1 through 3 together. And then I will assign numbers 4 through 9, and then we'll have 10 through 12 as bonus. Okay, so we'll work these together right now. My middle 2 will be homework, and my last row will be bonus. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and work these. Remember, we're just doing straight addition. So I take my first term, add it. So I have 8x squared plus 2x squared. When I add, I just add my coefficients. 8 plus 2 is 10. Keep my variable with the exponent the same. Next one, 4 plus 6 is 10. Keep my variable x the same. And then the last one, 6 plus 5 is 11. Okay, just add the numbers in front of the variables, keep the variables the same. Number 2. Now I've got some negatives here, so I've just got to be careful when I'm combining. 3x squared plus x squared. Remember we said x squared is the same as 1x squared. So I know 3x squared plus x squared will be 4x squared. 2x plus a negative 3x. My sign of my larger is negative. So when I combine 2 and negative 3, it will be negative 1. So I'm just going to write that as negative x. And then I have positive 7 plus a negative 5. Take the sign of the larger and find the difference. So 4x squared minus x plus 2. And then number 3 on this one, paying attention to positives and negatives, 2x squared plus 6x squared is 8x squared. Negative 4x plus positive 5x will be positive x. And 7 plus a negative 1 will be a positive 6. Any question on any of these? When I'm adding, I'm just combining like terms, looking, paying attention to my signs. Are they positives or negatives? Okay. So these middle 2 rows will be homework. The last row will be bonus. And let's look at subtraction. I put a note on here, change to adding the opposite. So remember we talked about with these, the first thing I want to do is change my subtraction to addition. But to be able to do that, I have to change the sign of everything that follows. So now 6x becomes negative 6x squared. Sorry, 6x squared becomes negative 6x squared. Positive 5x becomes, minus 5x. And plus 4 becomes minus 4. So I'm just going to mark through those since I've changed those. Now I have 9x squared plus a negative 6x squared. Now I'm just following my rules of addition. Sure. So now I'm just going back to rules of addition. Now that I've rewritten my problem, 9x squared plus a negative 6x squared excuse me, 9 minus 6 is 3. Keep my variable and exponent. 7x plus negative 5x. Keep the sign of the larger, which is going to be positive. Find the difference, which is 2. Keep my variable of x. And then 8 plus a negative 4. Take the sign of the larger. Find the difference. So 3x squared plus 2x plus 4. Let's look at the next one. 7x squared plus 5x plus 6 minus x squared minus 5x minus 4. The reason I changed these is because, and just kind of for you to see, if I started with this and I said 7x squared minus x squared, that's pretty easy to say, hey, if I have 7x squared and I take one away, I'm going to have 6x squared. But where it really gets confusing is now I've got 5x minus a negative 5x, and I might forget that that is plus a positive. The other thing is, like over here, if I have a negative, doing 6 minus 2x is pretty easy. But if I have negative 4x minus a positive 7x, this is where I start kind of getting lost. And I go, okay, well, if it's minus 7x, then, and we're going to look at it in a minute and see how it ends up being, but this ends up being a negative 11x. And I'd be willing to bet that when y'all looked at this, y'all would say, ooh, it's going to be a positive 3x. But it's super easy to make mistakes when I am subtracting. Okay, so that's why it's best to change to adding the opposite. So let's see how it makes it a little bit easier. So on this one, I'm going to change my sign here. So this becomes negative x squared. This becomes positive 5x. This becomes positive 4. So I'm able to mark those out. 7x squared plus a negative x squared, 6x squared like we saw. But now I've got 5x plus 5x. So now I can easily see that that's going to be plus 10x. Positive 6 plus a positive 4, again, positive 10. On the next one, change to addition. I'll take the opposite of everything afterward. So now I can see I've got 6x squared plus a negative 2x squared. Take the sign of the larger, find the difference. So I have 4x squared. Now on the next one, now that I'm adding the opposites, I can see now negative 4x plus negative 7x. Now I can see I've got a negative 4 plus a negative 7. So that would be negative 11x. And then 5 plus 6 is plus 11. There's my final answer. All right, so let's take a look at our subtraction. So again, we'll make the middle 2 rows your homework. And our last, we will make bonus. So on subtraction, you'll do the middle 2 rows. Remember to change to adding the opposite. And then our last row will be bonus. All righty. Let's go ahead and review multiplying and dividing polynomials on page 3. The top of the worksheet says worksheet 69, but this is page 3. So notice at the top I wrote, you multiply the numbers and add the exponents of like variables. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here when I look at number 1. The first thing I'm going to do is multiply my numbers. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Now I have x and x being multiplied together. And remember, this is like x to the first and this is x to the first. So these are like variables. They're both x's. So I add the exponents. 1 plus 1 is 2. So x squared. Now there's nothing that I can combine with y squared, but I still have to keep him. Okay, he doesn't just disappear. So it's just going to be 28x squared y squared. As we work through these, if you have any questions, be sure to let me know. All righty, so let's look at number 2. I start by multiplying my numbers, and 5 times 7 is
35.
35, good. Now I have x squared and x squared. I keep the variable, and what do I do to my exponents? I'm gonna add them, so what's 2 plus 2? 4. So x squared times x squared becomes x to the 4th. And again, there's nothing to multiply y squared by, so I just write them. And remember, when we write our variables in an answer, we go alphabetical order. So that is why the y is going to come after the x. Let's look at number 3. This time I have 3 terms, okay? So just like earlier, I've been multiplying single term. This time I've got 9x on the outside. I can see I have a trinomial inside parentheses because they're separated by a plus and minus. So now I'm going to have to multiply this times this. I'm going to multiply this times this. And I'm going to have to multiply this times this. So first I have 9x times 6x squared. What is 9 times 6? 54. We'll do this one kind of quick because it's bell time. X times x squared. Remember, that's x to the first. Times x squared will be x cubed. Now I've got to multiply 9x again by x. So that will be plus 9x squared. And then I multiply 9x times -3. So that'll be minus 27x. All right, go ahead and take a break. All righty. So let's do a couple more of these. Let's do the bottom row. No, yeah, no, yeah. Let's do the bottom row. Okay, start with number 10. So notice that I don't have a number to multiply by 11. So I'm just going to have 11 because basically this is like having one x cubed. So 1 times 11 is 11. X cubed times x. Remember, when I combine my like variables, when I multiply like variables, I add the exponents. So I would have 3 plus 1. So I'm going to have x to the 4th. So 11x to the 4th. And again, y squared has nothing to multiply by. So it's just 11x to the 4th y squared. Number 11, I'm going to multiply my numbers. So 10 times 4 is 40. Then I have x cubed times x squared. So I have a like variable, add the exponents, and 3 plus 2 is 5. There's nothing to multiply y to the 4th by, so I just leave it as y to the 4th. And then number 12, 3 terms, multiply each term. 6x times 3x squared is 18x. X didn't go right. Cubed. 6x times negative 5x is negative 30x squared. And 6x times 4 will be plus 24x. Any questions on those? All right. So middle section will be your homework. Look at the ones we've done for examples to help you know what to do if you get stuck. All right, the next section was dividing. And I made a note at the top that says divide the numbers, subtract the exponents of like variables. So when we multiply, we add the exponents. When I divide, I subtract. So in this situation, remember, if you would rather go ahead and put it vertically or write it like a fraction, if that helps you, you're welcome to. So I have 5x to the 5th divided by x cubed. Remember, that means I'm going to subtract my exponents. X cubed is the same as having 1x cubed, and 5 divided by 1 is just 5. But then x cubed divided by x to the 5th divided by x cubed means I just subtract 5 minus 3. So that would be x squared. So is everybody good with if I have a number that I'm dividing by, but there's not a number with my exponent, it's just a 1. So 5 divided by 1 is 5. But now I have x to the 5th divided by x cubed. So I just do 5 minus 3 is 2. So 5x squared. Let's take a look at this next one. Again, I have 12x cubed y squared divided by x squared. So if you want to, you can make it vertical. So I'm just going to put it like this. I'm just going to move that x cubed underneath it. Now I can see there's nothing that I can divide 12 by, or if I want to think about it as 12 divided by 1, that's going to be 12. Now, x cubed divided by x cubed. 3 minus 3 is what? 0. And so an x to the 0 equals what? Does anybody remember what x to the 0 power equals? Anything to the 0 power equals 1. Okay, so really what happens here is x cubed cancels out with x cubed. They both end up being a 1. And 12 times 1 is 1. So there's really nothing I need to write in my answer. But then I have y squared left. So my answer on that one is just 12y squared. Because my x cubed divided by x cubed, that canceled each other out. So all I'm left with is 12y squared. All righty, I'm gonna go ahead and stack this one too and kind of line them up so it'll help me see it better. So I have 9x y squared. I'll go ahead and mark these out so they don't throw me off. So I can see I'm dividing 9 divided by 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. X to the 4th divided by x. Remember, this is the same as x to the 1st, and 4 minus 1 is 3, so I have x cubed. Now I have y cubed divided by y squared, so 3 minus 2 is 1. So I can just write it as y if you wanted to put y to the 1st, but now I can simplify this as x cubed y. That's my simplified answer. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the next row. There's not anything, okay. So the next row, 7x cubed divided by x. 7 divided by 1, or 7 divided by nothing would be 7. X cubed divided by x would be 3 minus 1 is 2, so 7x squared is my answer on that one. Number 5, I think. That all kind of ran together when it copied. 6xy squared divided by 2x. I can see I'm going to divide 6 divided by 2 is 3. Again, x divided by x is going to cancel there. That's just going to be 1. And then I just have y squared. So I'm left with 3y squared. And then number 6, I'm dividing by 2x squared y squared. So 22 divided by 2 is 11. X cubed divided by x squared means I'm going to have x, and I do 3 minus 2 is 1. So I don't even have to write my exponent of 1. And then same thing with y cubed and y squared. I'm going to have my y, and 3 minus 2 is 1, but I don't have to write that exponent of 1. So my answer is 11xy. Okay, so on division, do the next 2 rows as homework, and we'll have the last row as bonus. All right, and our last section is practicing with FOIL. Okay, so remember we talked about using the FOIL method as a way to multiply binomials times binomials. And we said that F stands for first, O stands for outer, I stands for inner, and L stands for last. And that's my order that I multiply in. First is F, O is outer, I is inner, L is last. So when I do this in my problem, I multiply first term by first term. So I'm going to label that with an F. Well, you can't really see it really well. Let me move it down a little bit. So I'm going to make that a little F. So you can see that this is multiplying my first terms. And x times x. Remember we said that when I multiply, I add the exponents. So this will be like x to the first times x to the first, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So this is x squared. X times x is x squared. Now I'm going to multiply that same first x by 3. And this is the O part because I'm multiplying the outside 2 numbers, or my outer numbers. And x times 3 is going to be 3x. I always write my number in front of my variable. Now I've multiplied x times x and x times 3. So now I'm going to start multiplying the 2. And I multiply 2 times x. I'm going to label this I because these are the inner 2 numbers. They're the ones on the inside. 2 times x is 2x. And then I multiply 2 times, 2 times 3, and I label that L because these are the last two numbers in each set of parentheses, and 2 times 3 is 6. So after I've identified, after I've multiplied my first, outer, inner, last, this is where I look and I see that my outside and inside two variables are like terms. I have a number with the variable x, and I know that 3x plus 2x is 5x. They're both positive, so when I combine like terms, they're being added. So now I'm going to write out my answer simplified. And so I have x squared. I have a 5x here because it's positive. I'm going to write plus 5x. And then I have 6 down here because it's positive. I'm going to put plus 6. So there is my answer, x squared plus 5x plus 6. I multiplied first, outer, inner, last. I combined my outer and inner, and I've written my answer. Let's look at number 2. Again, I start multiplying first terms. X times x is x squared. That's my first. Then x times -3, that's going to be my outer ones. And x times -3 is -3x. Rewrite that. Oops. Now when I do inner, 4 times x, that's going to be a positive 4x. And then last, 4 times -3 is -12. I look at my middle two terms, -3 and +4. Take the sign of the larger, which is positive, and find the difference. 4 minus 3 is 1. So basically, I've just got x left over. You could write it as a 1x if you want to. It is positive. So now when I write my answer, start with my first term. I have x squared. I have combined my middle terms. It is positive, so I will have plus x. Notice my last term is negative now. So my next, I'm going to have minus 12. So if my number is positive or my variable is positive, there's a plus sign in front of it. If it is negative, I put a minus sign in front of it. Let's go ahead and do the bottom two. Let's do the last, number 7 and number 8. Okay. So I'm going to start with number 7. I've got 3x times x. That will be 3x squared. Now I have 3x times -4. 3 times -4 is -12. So 3x times -4 is -12x. Inner, 1 times x is x. And last, 1 times -4 is -4. My middle terms, I look and I have a -12x and a positive x. So -12 plus 1 is going to be a -11. So -12x, whoops, -12x plus 1x will be -11x. So now I get ready and write my final answer. My first term was 3x squared. My middles combined to be -11x, and my last was -4. So that is how I decide what my signs are going to be in between each term, and my answer is a trinomial. Last one. 2x minus 6 times 4x plus 3. First, 2x times 4x, 8x squared. Outer, 2x times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, so 2x times 3 is 6x. Inner, -6 times 4x. -6 times 4 is -24, so -6 times 4x is -24x. And then last, -6 times +3 will be -18. My middle two terms are like terms because they both have an x. So I have 6 minus 24. Take the sign of the larger, which is negative. Find the difference. So basically I'm saying 24 minus 6. Okay, so that's going to be what, 18x. So when I write my answer, 8x squared minus 18x minus 18. And there's my final answer. Any questions on these? All right, so that leaves 4 in the middle for your homework. 3, 4, 5, and 6 will be your homework. Okay, so this is going to be our review for polynomials. Okay, so we've got, starting back at the beginning, types of polynomials we've talked about. We've talked about adding and subtracting polynomials. We worked on multiplying polynomials, and we learned that when we multiply polynomials, we add the exponents. Divide polynomials, I subtract. And then when I multiply a binomial times a binomial, we use what we call the FOIL method. And we do that by multiplying each term of the first binomial by each term of the second binomial, combine like terms to write our final answer. Any questions on that? Any questions? All right, so let's see. Whew, we are way early. So let's go ahead and just take this time to work on your packet. And then that way you've got me if you have questions. So we'll go ahead and work on the packet. And if you finish, once you're done for the day. Okay. So y'all can, if you're online, you can go ahead and work on these. And whenever you're done, you're welcome to log out. I'll go ahead and turn on the lights in the classroom so y'all can work in here. And then that way, if you get done with it, you won't have any homework. Be sure to let me know if you need help.
So what's the homework for that last page?
Okay, so for the last page, let's go ahead and look at that real quick. So we said we need to, for the first page, we're doing 5 through 10 as homework. If you didn't finish it, but I think we might have finished it. On the second page, we have 4 through 9 on the section 1 adding. I'm sorry. First page, if you didn't finish it already, we've got 5 through 10. Second page, section 1 addition, we've got 4 through 9. Section 2 subtraction is also 4 through 9, but on that one, we've got 10 through 12 will be bonus. Multiplication, middle section, section 1 will have 4 through 9. The division, we will have 7 through 12. And then 13, 14, 15 will be bonus. And then on the last page, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to help. Good. You don't have to get stuck on anything, okay? So I guess next week will be our final test for the year on polynomials. So we'll have, I will pass that out on Monday. We'll have our final test. So I'll pass it out Monday. It'll be due Thursday. Then next week and the week following, we will wrap up with our last geometry assignments. And we'll be all done. I know. Hard to believe. We're finally at this point in the year.
Jennifer,
Yes.
I need a little bit of help.
Okay, which number?
The division of polynomials, FOIL number 4. You're on that page. Go down.
Okay.
FOIL.
I'm sorry, which one?
Yeah, FOIL.
FOIL, okay. Which number?
4.
4. Okay, so what are you going to do first?
You do 2x times x. That would be 2x squared.
Good.
Okay. And then you do 2x times negative 4.
Good. What's that going to be?
Negative 8x.
Great. Okay.
And then 5 times x, so that's 5x.
Mm-hmm.
And then negative 20.
Then 5 times 4, negative 4 is negative 20. Okay. Now what are we going to combine?
Negative 8x and 5x, so that'll be negative 3x.
Good. So how do you write your final answer?
2x squared negative 3x or minus 3x, and then negative 20 or minus 20.
There you go. Good job.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done.
You all done? All right. Well, good deal. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.
Okay. Have
All
a
right.
good weekend yourself.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Got about 4 more minutes. My mom's here. Can I just go ahead?
You may.
Thank you.
Have.
Okay.
Okay, you too. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, y'all have a good weekend. I will see y'all tomorrow. I'll see y'all next week.
Feeling so bad in your life that you start.